Hello and welcome back to Jarl's Favour devlog. Thought I'd do a quick little update as I've done a bit of work over the past week, and instead of being in the editor I thought we'd jump into full screen game mode to have a look at what's going on. So as you can see, I've added a ocean. Before I just had a flat two-dimensional plane. Now I have some waves and coastline effects and some infinite ocean. Of course it's still sort of a 2D plane, but it's got a lot more going on now. I think it looks pretty good. This is fluid flux again. Seems fairly performant. It's not really hitting the frames too much. Frame rate is slow, but that's because I have all the other fluid simulations occurring at the moment as well. But if we have a look at the ocean, it's also got underwater shaders going on. It's got a bit of brown going on toward the shore. These are choices I can make and mix and match, and as we get further away from the shore it'll turn more blue. I still want it to be dark and murky. It's cold European waters, not meant to be fun to swim in. Let's get out of here. And it basically covers the entire coastline, which is great. Takes care of the audio for you as well, which is handy. Sounds good, looks good, and will also combine with the fluid flux simulated rivers quite well as well. So I may as well take a walk over this way and have a look at one of those fluid flux simulated rivers. You can also see here I've just put some temporary test procedural foliage, so those trees and there's rocks and ground scatter and cover up on the hills over there, just to make sure I'm moving in the right direction with my terrain placements, and also to give me a bit of a break from the sort of repetitiveness of terrain placement and constant putting down rocks and so on. Now over here we should have a little bit of a stream flowing from the hills. If it's reached here, yet the simulation could still be occurring. I do like those waves. I think the coastline looks good enough, decent enough. The stream has not reached this part of the map yet. That's fine. How about we pause it here and we magically come back when it is flowing. Okay, here we go. We have some water flowing down the stream now into the ocean. Both of these are fluid flux simulations. Ignore the weird foliage placement. That's just because I did a quick random procedural generation to just put some trees down and get some ideas of what the streams and things look like in the forest. And as you can see there, the waterfall sort of flows into the ocean. And job done. So follow this back up and there should be a lake that we had a look at last time. Don't think we'll be able to walk up there. Oh yeah, we can. Next step in regards to water will be to put in interaction, so, and a few other things, more particle effects, so lots of splashes, a bit more sound, which will be manually placed, I think. Have to go the long way around. And then interaction, so when the player walks through water, there are ripples and sounds, and then swimming and buoyancy as well, so things that will float, such as boats for the ocean. How that'll affect gameplay, I'll figure that out, but I think it'd be good to have some floating boats and things. So here's the lake full up here. Underneath here we'll have a quick look. Okay, interesting. Shader's not working underneath for some reason. I'll have to revisit that. can see we have fish and things. It would look a little more realistic if there was a water shader going on, but that's not working, probably to do with the interaction with the ocean that I put in. Never mind. And then other work I've done over here, just again to remove the boredom of repetitive landscape carving and rock placement, which is absolutely necessary, but certainly gets old quickly. So to keep myself sane, I've just decided to work on a couple other little things and then get back to the landscape carving and landscape production. So over here we're approaching a house. I wonder if the shader's underneath this particular simulation. No, okay. That's fine. Down here into this pool. And up here. So we can see we have a Viking home, fairly dishevelled and abandoned. I'll add more to it. That grass is not meant to be on the roof there. I will, however, be putting some moss and probably painting the texture or modifying the textures a little bit to blend it with some growing moss and age it that much more, make it blend with the environment a little bit more so it doesn't just have these harsh straight lines and look like a nice clean or different 3D object that hasn't lived in this location for a while. So yeah, so I started playing with lighting. I playing with physics. So this door, I'm thinking I'll have doors be physics based and not hold E to open sort of thing. So if we walk into it and push, it's a heavy door, I've weighed it at about 400 kilos. And push again, you can open and close doors that way. I will be implementing a system that when you're inside and the door is closed, and maybe windows as well, then heat will rise, so you can make things warmer. We can see here I've got a cat. That will be a player companion, but for now it's just basically an animated static object. But I'll eventually put some AI onto that and make it a part of a quest line, and it will either follow you around or live at your camp. It depends how much time I've got working on it. This light here is a bit of physics. The light moves as well, so you can see shadows moving with it. Just a few random objects to help sell the sort of connectivity that you're in a place, basically. And then I've populated upstairs. If we have a look at this when it's night time, that'll show off the lighting a bit better. Before we do, let's have a quick walk over to this flowing river and see what that looks like over this way. I'll speed this footage up. Okay, here's another river, still in the same simulation domain as the lake, that is. I haven't tidied up the procedural foliage here, so you can see a tree sticking out in the middle of the river. That won't be the case. I do need to design some more rules around procedural foliage and textures, and what textures I don't want anything spawning on. Okay, I think that looks pretty cool. Certainly has more sense of place now that trees are there. I will be adding more trees. I want the forest to be thicker. It's certainly a bit too sparse at the moment. Makes for easier gameplay when it's sparse, I suppose, but I want the forest to be a little bit foreboding. We can see I have some crows flying in the air there. I'm going to use those as indicators for points of interest in the game, just to help you navigate a little bit. So this house is of course a point of interest. There won't be too many homes floating around, and that's probably where you're going to find that cat companion. So I've put a few other things here, just put some lighting here. Speaking of lighting, let's magically turn this into nighttime. Okay, it's night, so we can see I've put a little light there just to make it look like the embers are still glowing, have a bit of heat. There is a bucket over here somewhere with physics on it, but but it's too dark to see that. Random, well not random, but some objects I want to, again have physics. Not everything, that'll just melt the system, but make the world feel alive, I guess. Push the door open again, and here's the night lighting. We can see I've got some dust particles floating around there in the daytime as well. They're just obviously not as easy to see, as well as this volumetric fog. So if you look to the right around the stairs, you'll see there's a little bit foggy or smoky. This is volumetric volume, or fog volume that I've got placed. It moves very slowly, so it's not always, so it'll slightly change over time, and just helps you feel like you're indoors a little bit. Adds to the mood lighting and sort of brings the whole thing together, I think. Candles and lights are not very bright. That's a deliberate choice. I want it to be a little bit scary and possibly realistic, although realism is a strange term to use in video games, because you're looking at a two-dimensional image on a screen, even though it's comprised of 3D objects, and there's very little realism going on in any game, even simulated. So it's more about stylization or immersion. I want this picture to make you believe that you're in a dimly lit medieval room, basically, which I think it does the job. If we move this light again, we should be able to see a bit more. There we go, shadow floating around. Up here, it's hard to see. There's a ladder here. I don't have ladder interactions yet, so I need to add interactions, animations, and then moving locations for the character. Close this door a little bit, and then that in-game later on, once I code it, will help warm up this room, because weather and cold are going to be very deadly in the game, as we saw in one of my earlier posts where I'd sort of designed the weather system when it gets to about minus 15 degrees. I've put, I just changed the day-night cycle a little bit just to, again, just make sure that I'm on the right track. I think it looks good. Mountains in the background there. It's quite a clear night, so the mountains don't look too far or epic. More mountains over there. You can see there's this bright white light against the mountains in the far distance. That's a fog card. Just a cheap way for me to make it look like cloud. Mountains are covered in cloud and fog in the distance. I need to just work on that fog a little bit so it doesn't illuminate itself at night time. And there we have it. That's what I've done. It's actually a reasonable amount of work, just not in the normal direction of landscape design, which I took a break from for a week, and implemented some physics and just some medieval or Viking era architecture to make sure it's all coming together, and I think it is. I think it looks decent enough. The ocean's good, fluid flux is great, the environment's fine. I will thicken up the forests, make it more dense, and just carry on. But this was a good exercise to do, I think. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.